Welcome to my channel HFY Universe. The Empress screamed for silence, and 30,000 warriors obeyed. Yet the room remained haunted by something far more terrifying than her rage. A recording. A single human voice. Breathing heavily, bleeding, still refusing to surrender. The hologram flickered above the throne room. Behind the wounded man stood 200 terrified alien children. In front of him floated the burning wreckage of 12 Imperial warships. 12. Destroyed by a vessel that wasn't even a warship. The human looked directly into the camera. Blood ran down his forehead. One eye was swollen shut. His ship alarms screamed around him. Then he whispered something that froze every heart in the chamber. "If you want these children, you'll have to come through me." The transmission ended. Silence followed. A silence so deep that even the stars seemed afraid. Empress Valeria Drath stood from her throne. Her silver eyes burned with fury. "Bring me the human who destroyed my fleet." Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Because for the first time in centuries, the Empire was afraid. 3 days earlier, Commander Ethan Cross never expected to become a legend. He was tired, broken, forgotten. The medical frigate Mercy's Light drifted through the outer colonies carrying medicine, food supplies, and refugee children rescued from a mining disaster. Nothing more. No weapons worth mentioning. No military escort. No strategic importance. Just 40 crew members and 200 frightened children. Most belonged to species Ethan had never even heard of. Tiny blue-skinned Vorians. Halide Seraph. Four-armed Kaltiz twins. All victims of wars they never started. Wars they never understood. The children slept in makeshift beds throughout the ship. Some still cried during the night. Others stared silently at walls. Too traumatized to speak. Ethan knew the feeling. 3 years earlier he had lost his wife and daughter during a pirate attack near Earth. The pain never left. Simply learned how to hide. Every night he walked the ship alone, checking on the children, making sure blankets covered tiny bodies, making sure nightmares didn't win. The crew often watched him quietly. Humans were strange. Most species viewed orphan children as unfortunate statistics. Humans treated them like family. Even strangers. Especially strangers. Nobody understood why. Not even Ethan. The first warning arrived at 0200 ship time. Lieutenant Mira Tal entered the bridge looking terrified. She wasn't human. Her silver skin shimmered beneath the emergency lights. Ethan. He immediately knew something was wrong. Mira never used his first name on duty. What happened? Her voice shook. Imperial fleet signatures. The bridge fell silent. Every officer turned toward her. Ethan frowned. How many? Mira swallowed. 12 warships. The silence became unbearable. 12. Nobody sent 12 warships after a medical frigate. Nobody. Ethan stared at the tactical display. The crimson symbols appeared one after another. Destroyers, cruisers, heavy assault carriers. Enough firepower to erase a city. Or a planet. His stomach tightened. Are they communicating? Mira nodded. The transmission opened instantly. An armored alien appeared. Cold. Covered in black ceremonial armor. Admiral Korvac. The Empire's most feared commander. His yellow eyes narrowed. Medical vessel Mercy's Light. Ethan stood. This is Commander Ethan Cross. Korvac smiled. It wasn't a pleasant smile. Prepare to surrender your cargo. What cargo? The children. Every face on the bridge went pale. Ethan felt ice run through his veins. What are you talking about? Korvac leaned forward. Those children belong to the Empire. Mira whispered. No. Ethan glanced toward her. She looked horrified. They're from the border systems, she said quietly. The Empire uses those worlds. The realization hit everyone simultaneously. Slavery. The children weren't refugees. They were escape property. Korvac continued calmly. Transfer them immediately. Ethan's fists tightened. Behind him, dozens of crew members stared in disbelief. Children. He wanted children. 200 frightened children. Ethan thought about the tiny Vorian girl who carried a stuffed animal everywhere. He thought about the Kaltiz twins who finally smiled yesterday. He thought about all the nightmares he'd heard through metal walls. And something dangerous awakened inside him. No. The bridge froze. Even Korvac blinked. No, the Admiral repeated. Ethan stepped closer to the screen. They're not cargo. Korvac's eyes darkened. They belong to the Empire. They belong to themselves. The transmission ended instantly. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. Finally Mira whispered. Ethan. He never looked away from the tactical display. Get every child to the central shelter. The crew exchanged nervous glances. Commander, someone said carefully. That's 12 warships. I know. We can't win. Ethan nodded. I know. Mira stared at him. Then what are we doing? The human commander looked toward the observation window. Toward the endless stars. Toward the fleet closing in. And for a moment he remembered his daughter. The day he failed to protect her. The day he arrived too late. The day everything died. His voice became almost a whisper. Not again. The ship alarms suddenly erupted. Red lights flooded every corridor. A terrified officer shouted from tactical. They're charging weapons. Across the vessel, 200 children woke from their sleep. Some began crying. Others screamed. Outside the viewport, 12 Imperial warships formed a perfect attack formation, like wolves surrounding wounded prey. And deep within the Empire's flagship, Admiral Korvac smiled. Because no species had ever resisted the Empire and survived. No species. But what neither Korvac nor the Empress knew was that hidden inside the Mercy's light was an experimental human technology never meant for combat. A device so dangerous that Earth had banned its use. A device capable of turning an enemy's own firepower against them. And Ethan Cross had just made the decision to activate it. The countdown began. 10 minutes until first contact. 12 warships closing fast. 200 children depending on one broken human. And somewhere in the darkness, history was about to change.
The bridge fell silent. Hundreds of Dominion warships surrounded the battlefield. 12 Imperial warships floated nearby, damaged and burning. And in the middle of it all sat one small medical frigate, the Mercy's Light. Commander Ethan Cross stared at the giant black ships outside. What do they want from me? Nobody answered. Even Mira Tal looked frightened. The Dominion doesn't appear without a reason. Before Ethan could reply, a transmission request appeared. Dominion High Command. The bridge instantly froze. The screen activated. An ancient alien face appeared. Cold eyes. Emotionless. Power radiated from him. Human. Ethan stepped forward. That's me. The alien studied him. For several seconds, neither spoke. Then the commander said something unexpected. We have searched for you for 17 years. Confusion spread across the bridge. Ethan frowned. I think you've got the wrong person. The alien ignored him. We do not make mistakes. The transmission ended. Just like that. No explanation. No threat. Only more questions. Hours later, fear spread through the ship. The children sensed something was wrong. Crew members whispered in corridors. Outside, the Dominion fleet remained motionless. Watching. Waiting. It felt like a predator deciding when to strike. Ethan walked through the shelter deck. 200 children were gathered there. Some played games. Others sat quietly. Many were terrified. A small Vorian girl named Luma approached him. Commander? Yes. Are those ships bad? Ethan glanced toward the viewport. The black warships blocked entire sections of the stars. He forced a smile. I don't know yet. The girl looked worried. You promised we'd be safe. The words hit harder than any weapon. For a moment, he remembered his daughter. The daughter he failed to save. The memory never truly left. It simply waited. Ethan knelt beside Luma. You're safe. She smiled. And somehow that made the lie worth telling. Suddenly alarms erupted across the ship. Engineering emergency. Every screen turned red. Ethan rushed toward the bridge. Ramos was already there. The engineer looked pale. The mirror core is failing. The room became silent. How bad? Ethan asked. Ramos pointed at the display. Containment stability. 41%. Dropping. If it reaches 0? Ramos swallowed. The entire ship disappears. Nobody spoke. The machine that had saved them was becoming a bomb. And there were 200 children on board. Mira stared at the readings. How long do we have? Maybe 48 hours. Fear spread across the bridge. 48 hours. Then another alert appeared. Incoming transmission. Dominion High Command. Again. The screen activated. The ancient commander returned. This time his eyes focused entirely on Ethan. We have confirmed your identity. Ethan crossed his arms. My identity as what? The commander answered immediately. 17 years ago, a human rescue pilot saved 900 Dominion children during the destruction of Kilos. Nobody moved. Nobody even breathed. The commander continued. That pilot vanished. A pause. Then the revelation. We believe that pilot was you. Shock filled the bridge. Mira stared at Ethan. So, do I? Ethan's heart began pounding. Fragments of memory surfaced. A burning world. Smoke. Children. Screaming. A desperate evacuation. Images flashed through his mind like lightning, then disappeared. The commander noticed his reaction. You remember. Ethan shook his head. Only pieces. The alien nodded slowly. That is enough. The transmission ended once more. The bridge exploded with questions. But Ethan barely heard them, because for the first time in 17 years, he was starting to remember something he thought was lost forever. And deep inside those memories, something terrifying was waiting. The memories returned like a storm. Ethan collapsed into the command chair. Pain exploded behind his eyes. Images flashed through his mind. Fire. Smoke. Children screaming. A dying world. Mira rushed toward him. Ethan. He barely heard her. The bridge faded away. Suddenly, he was somewhere else. 17 years earlier. Kilos was burning. Entire cities had become oceans of fire. The sky glowed red. Millions were trying to escape. Most never would. Young pilot Ethan Cross sat inside a rescue shuttle descending through the chaos. Warning alarms screamed constantly. His sensors showed thousands of life signs disappearing every minute. The evacuation fleet had already left. The planet was considered lost. Then a distress signal arrived. Origin. Children's Shelter 17. Population. 900. Ethan stared at the numbers. 900 children. Abandoned. His commander immediately responded. Negative. Mission is over. Ethan gripped the controls. They're still alive. They're already dead. The transmission ended. Ethan remembered the anger, the disbelief, the helplessness. 900 children. Left behind. Because saving them was inconvenient. His decision took less than a second. He turned the shuttle around and flew directly into the fire. The memory vanished. Ethan opened his eyes. The bridge returned. Everyone was staring at him. Mira looked worried. What did you see? Ethan took a deep breath. Kilos. Silence filled the room. The Dominion commander had been telling the truth. Somehow Ethan really had been there. Before anyone could speak, a new transmission arrived. Dominion High Command. Again. The screen activated instantly. The ancient commander appeared. This time his expression looked different. Almost respectful. You remember now. Ethan nodded slowly. Some of it. The alien inclined his head. Then you understand why we came. No. The commander's eyes narrowed. 17 years ago, our children were trapped on Kilos. The bridge remained silent. You ignored orders and entered the destruction zone. Images flashed through Ethan's mind again. Smoke-filled corridors. Terrified children. Explosions. A collapsing shelter. The alien continued. You carried children through fire. Another memory surfaced. a small alien girl clinging to his neck.
Crying.
Terrified. You made 43 evacuation trips. Mira's eyes widened. 43. No pilot would attempt that. Most would not survive half that number. The commander spoke quietly. Every other rescue vessel fled. The bridge became completely silent. Then came the revelation. You stayed. Nobody moved. Even the Imperial ships listening to the transmission remained silent. The commander looked directly at Ethan. You saved 900 Dominion children. A pause. One of them was me. Shock swept through the ship. Mira stared at the screen. The ancient commander, one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy, had once been one of those children. Across the battlefield, Admiral Korvac listened in disbelief. Nothing made sense anymore. The feared Dominion wasn't hunting Ethan. They were protecting him. His fists clenched. The situation was slipping beyond Imperial control. Then a tactical officer suddenly shouted, "Admiral." What? The officer looked terrified. Long-range sensors.
Korvac turned.
The readings made his blood run cold. More ships. Thousands of them. Approaching rapidly. Not Dominion. Not Imperial. Unknown. The battlefield instantly became tense. Even the Dominion fleet reacted. For the first time, their formations shifted, as if preparing for war. The commander on Ethan's screen received the same report. His expression darkened. Impossible. Ethan frowned. What is it? The alien answered immediately. The Devourers. Fear spread through every bridge, every ship, every crew. Even hearing the name was enough. Mira turned pale. No. Ethan looked at her. What are Devourers? She swallowed hard. The reason entire civilizations disappear. The room became silent. Outside the viewport, thousands of contacts emerged from hyperspace. Dark ships, organic ships, living ships. The stars themselves seemed to vanish behind them. The Devourers had arrived. The Dominion commander stood. For the first time, genuine urgency entered his voice. We have no time. Ethan crossed his arms. Then tell me what's happening. The commander nodded. The Devourers are coming for you. The statement stunned everyone. For me? Yes. Why? The alien hesitated. Something about that hesitation terrified Ethan. Finally, the commander answered. Because 17 years ago on Kilos. A pause. The battlefield seemed frozen. Then he revealed the truth. You did more than save children. Ethan's heart pounded. The commander looked directly into his eyes. You killed a Devourer queen. Silence. Absolute silence. Mira stared. Korvac stared. The entire battlefield stared. Ethan felt the world tilt. What? The commander's voice remained calm. When your rescue shuttle crashed inside the shelter? Memories exploded inside Ethan's mind. A massive creature.
Teeth.
Claws. Darkness. Children screaming. And himself standing between them. The commander continued. No human should have survived. Another memory surfaced.
Pain. Blood.
A burning plasma cutter in his hands. The monster charging. The children behind him. Then light. A lot of light. The alien's next words shook the galaxy. You killed the queen with your bare hands and a damaged mining tool. Nobody breathed. Even Ethan couldn't speak. Because deep down, he remembered. And the memory terrified him. Outside the viewport, thousands of Devourer ships accelerated toward the battlefield. The war was coming, and every one of them wanted the same thing. The human who had killed their queen. The battlefield froze. Thousands of Devourer ships darkened the stars. Imperial vessels stopped moving. Dominion fleets formed defensive lines. And in the center of it all stood one damaged medical frigate, the Mercy's Light. Commander Ethan Cross stared at the approaching swarm. You think they're here because of me? The Dominion commander answered. We know they are. Ethan remembered the queen on Kilos, the creature he had killed to save children. For 17 years, the Devourers had searched for the human responsible. Ramos suddenly rushed onto the bridge. The mirror core can still work, he said. Mira frowned. You said it was dying. It is, Ramos replied. But if we overload it, The blast could destroy the swarm's command network. Silence followed. Everyone understood the cost. The ship would not survive.
No.
The voice came from the doorway. Luma, the small Vorian girl, stood there clutching her stuffed animal. Tears filled her eyes. "You promised," she whispered. Ethan knelt beside her. "You said we'd be safe." The bridge grew quiet. Ethan smiled gently. "You will be. What about you?" For a moment, he could not answer. Then, he placed a hand on her shoulder. "I'll be exactly where I need to be." Evacuation began immediately. Dominion ships opened safe corridors. Even Imperial vessels assisted. For the first time in history, enemies worked together. Children boarded transports. Refugees escaped. The Mercy's light gradually emptied until only a handful of crew remained. Mira approached Ethan in engineering. "I'm staying," she said. "You don't have to." "Yes, I do." She looked at him with a sad smile. "Humans are different." Ethan laughed softly. Even at the end, that truth still surprised the galaxy. Outside, the Devourers swarm attacked. Tens of thousands of living warships surged forward. Dominion and Imperial fleets opened fire, but the enemy kept advancing. Then a transmission appeared across every military frequency. Ethan stood beside the glowing mirror core. "When I was young," he began, "my daughter asked me why people help strangers. Millions listened. I told her that someday we might be the stranger who needs help." He took a final breath. "Take care of each other." The transmission ended. The mirror core activated. Containment systems failed. Energy surged beyond measurable limits. The Mercy's light became a miniature star. The Devourers reacted too late. Light erupted across the battlefield. The swarm's command network vanished instantly. Thousands of Devourer ships were destroyed. The remaining vessels fell into chaos. Dominion fleets counterattacked. Imperial fleets joined them. For the first time, the Devourers retreated. The galaxy survived. 3 months later, the Imperial capital was silent as millions gathered around a new monument. A statue of Commander Ethan Cross stood at its center. One hand reached toward a child. The other held nothing. Empress Valeria addressed the crowd. "Once I ordered, bring me the human who destroyed my fleet."
She paused.
But he saved it instead. In the crowd stood Luma, clutching the same stuffed animal. Beside her were Mira and Admiral Korvac, former enemies united by the memory of one human. Above the statue were words now taught across the galaxy. Not all heroes wear crowns. Not all heroes command armies. Sometimes a hero is simply the person who refuses to abandon a child. And long after empires faded, the galaxy remembered the day a single human stood against impossible odds. Not because he was the strongest, not because he was fearless, but because 200 frightened children needed someone to protect them. And humanity answered.
The end.